Perch, and here's a good question slash statement. I mean, it really doesn't need an answer to it, but I'll read it. I'm going to talk about it at least. It says, "Hey Perch, I'm not a marketing specialist. You're better than most of the people in comics. I can already tell. Anyway, but I figured out the undeniable number one selling point for reading comics today. It's the only spoiler-free medium." I'm not sure I agree with that, but let's see what you have to say here. "Movies and TV shows are easily spoiled. People post opinions and even memes almost in real time with the releases. Even manga anime have a huge social media footprint. But comics, unless you go out of your way to watch a 15 to 20-minute YouTube video about a single issue, you'll never know what's happening. People care so little about comics in the modern zeitgeist that it's truly the only spoiler-free story medium." Jesus, that is depressing stuff. Okay. Well, let's see how you wrap this one up. "Now, I don't know how you market the value of your product being so obscure and underutilized that you'll be able to enjoy it completely alone without worrying about anyone else ever talking about it, but the potential is there. Boo." I hate your question. I hate it. Okay, well, I guess no lies detected. God, this is the saddest thing I've heard all day. I think I'm done. I'm done. Thanks for listening. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We'll keep going. Well, okay. That's only partially true. Okay, so when a big comic moment happens, and it's usually the events. When the events occur, then people do tend to spoil them. That still happens. So it's really based on popularity. It is true that the majority of comics out there are so underread that people aren't spoiling them, and therefore you can read something without a lot of fuss. And in fairness, that the same goes true for a lot of books. I mean, there's tons of fantasy books, tons of fiction titles out there that nobody is spoiling because it's just there's just not a good vehicle to do that. So that it's not just comics, but definitely comics does have that feel to it. I don't know how you market this because, I mean, if you start marketing it and it's successful, then people will, spoil it either because more readers are there or they'll just do it out of spite. So I don't know if that's really an advantage you have that you could make money off of. God, how depressing. Thank you for ruining my day. I mean, I don't know where to go with this. Yeah, it's true. Things are in a terrible state. I think that but okay. So let me try and unpeel this to a happier place. I think that there's value in comics and in the world of comics where you can come in and you can say things like, "Hey, it's a more authentic, like it's a deeper story. It's a story." Well, but okay, so let me use this example. Recently on Twitter, somebody posted a page from Tom King's run on Batman, and it's Batman's in a car. You may have seen it. It made the rounds. Batman's in a car with Catwoman, and then he's like, "I want you to kiss me," and then she's like, "I don't know," and then he leans over and he kisses her, and they talk back and forth a little bit. It's a single page, and it's a case where the dialogue kind of ruins the page because it worked really well just with no words. It worked really well as just a page of art. And the best part about it is without the words, there's a couple different ways you can interpret it. You can interpret it as, Batman is kind of being pushy. You can interpret it as Batman's being timid. You can interpret it as it's a deep moment with a lot of pressure. And Batman is, trying to figure out what's going on. It's part of a storyline, I believe, with the Scarecrow. So, Batman may be trying to understand if what he's seeing is real or not. There's a couple different ways you can interpret it, but with the words in the page, it kind of wrecks it to some extent. It's a case where, silence would have been better. And what does this have to do with spoilers and everything else? Well, when comics are done well, the reader can, kind of interpret what's going on and take their own read from it. With movies, by and large, and definitely there's some movies that leave things open to interpretation as well, but more often than not, movies are very straightforward. They are, we're going to show you this plot, and here's what you're going to take from it. And once you see this, then that's going to tell you what happens next. And so it's easy to write a spoiler of, just the facts, ma'am. Here's what happened in this movie. But with comics, it is more complex. The fusion of words plus images allows a lot more interpretation. It is harder to just straight up spoil it. You lose a lot in the detail. And so I think there's value to that. It's something that makes it slightly more, more complex. Um, yeah, God damn it. Comics have an advantage of being spoiler proof because nobody is reading them. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I don't have much more to say on this topic other than thank you for depressing everyone about what's going on with modern comics. I don't know. Just spoilers. So I'll say this as well. I think I'm abnormal in this regard, and I used to tell people I never minded spoilers. I was just never a person. I'm fine getting spoilers for comics, to me, or movies or anything. In fact, in many cases, if I'm like, should I go see that movie? I'm not sure. I don't know. Let me read the spoilers and read what's going on. There's the Butler did it. So it's moviespoilers.com, and their tagline is the Butler did it. But anyway, you can go to that site, and they basically summarize every movie on release night. And I would go to that site and I'd read the spoiler, and that would be how I determine if I went to see the movie or not. Like, does this plot sound interesting to me? I don't know. That drives my wife, it drives Mrs. Perch insane. She absolutely hates that practice. She hates that I do it to the point that I now have to sneak away. I'm gonna go over here into the bathroom and quickly look at a movie spoiler, and then if I do it in front of her, she loses her mind. So that's I realize all the jokes Mumbles is going to make out of the last 20 seconds of dialogue there. Anyway, that's how I operate. So for me, spoilers are a plus. But I do recognize that that's probably not the norm. It's not true with most people, and they like to see an authentic experience. I get it. Comic books I've always loved, in part because what you take out of that comic, what you take out of that story is often unique to you. So it's even if you read the spoiler, it doesn't actually reveal how you're going to feel about the comic until you actually take it home and read it. And so I think there's value in all that. I think it's all just kind of the storytelling of how it all goes and everything else. But I have to commend you, the person who wrote this letter for finding the hidden gem in the garbage of hey, here's look on the bright side of what's going on with comics. The bright side is, hey, even though the numbers and the readership are down, at least we're spoiled a lot less than we used to. So that's good. You're a glass half full kind of person. I appreciate that, even though the fact you give us is incredibly depressing. Well, what do you think, folks? First, do you like being spoiled? Do you think this is advantage? Maybe you guys are more creative than I am, and you can figure out a way to actually make this into a selling point. I mean, I'm picturing like Marvel comics. Nobody's reading them, so you're going to be surprised if you do. That tagline doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but maybe some of you can work with that and figure out a way to bring it home. Anyway, that's why I love this channel. I get questions like that. I mean, every now and then I go through the case of I'm getting tired of the channel. I'm getting bummed out by the channel and the different things happening. Swirl of outside events go on. Various creators start crapping on me for being too hard on certain aspects of the industry, and and so I'm like, it's not worth it anymore. But then I get questions like this one, and I'm like, God bless you, sir. You're simultaneously giving me a shot to the groin and a shot to the arm at the same time. That only in comics, folks. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for listening.